Hey everybody, it's Kathy Champion with Random Acts of Crafting, and we are back with our, I think this is going to be our fourth or fifth installment of our Christmas card series, and I have a really pretty card that I want to bring to you today. This was something I saw on Pinterest, and I'm just going to use their idea, but I'm going to make this card my own by cutting the paper to a desired size that I wanted to do. And this time I wanted to do a 6x6 card. So I have a 12-inch piece of white cardstock, and I am going to cut this down. And I'm not using a heavy-duty cardstock because this particular card is going to have a lot of layers. So because of the multi-layers that's going to be on this, oops. Did not sink my blade on that paper, and like I said, this was not a good quality cardstock. So let's see if we can go just a little bit less, maybe 5 3/4, and I'm going to sink my blade down in the middle, and that's much better. And as you can see, it is fraying a little bit. I don't believe that my blade is that dull. So we'll see if we start having problems with the paper. I may change my blade out again, but let's see. I'm just going to clean that track out a little bit, getting that excess debris out. And hopefully that will fix my little problem. There we go. We're going to put this back in, and I'm going to trim just a tiny bit of that frayed edge off. Now that feels like we got, and it tore. I think it's the cardstock. So let me grab a different piece of cardstock. We'll use that for something else. And I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And I did get a better piece of cardstock, and this has a really nice texture to it. So I am going to take off this little top. This wasn't a paper pack, so I'm just going to take this piece off, and then I am going to cut it at 6 inches. So let's hope that our blade is going to do better. I'm going to sink it in the middle, up and down. And as you can see, it was not my blade, it was that one did beautifully. That's a lot of times that the cheaper cardstock is not your better buy because it will fray when you try to cut it. Okay, we're going to score this at 6, thus giving us that 6x6 card base that we're looking for. So let's go down right at 6, get us a nice crease line. Like that. And now I'm going to even it up, both there and there. And I'm going to crease it down really good, just like that. And now we have the base of our card. So, and next we're going to do a mat. And we're going to do a black mat on this, and our black mat needs to be 5 7/8 by 5 7/8. We're just going to have 1/8 of an inch poking out, so we're going to come all the way over to right there, and 5 7/8. And that's going to be our black mat. Like I said, this card's going to have a lot of mats on it, so there you go. You can see that mat is just going to give you a tiny bit of the peekaboo. We're going to go down one more size, which is going to be, with the red, it's going to be 5 3/4. And that's going to be our next mat. Like I said, this card's going to have a lot of dimension, a lot of matting, and I am going to actually mat my mats on top of each other, and then we will mat them to the card. But you can see that's going to afford us just a tiny bit of each layer poking out around the base of our card. So the next layer is going to be a pattern paper, and the pattern paper needs to be 5.5. And this has an orientation to it. So I'm going to get my branding strip off of this. And this was the Authentique Rejoice 5 paper. And now we want this to be, I don't think it's going to matter because we are cutting squares. So this is going to be 5.5 by 5.5. And this is going to live right on top of the red. And I thought this would be a good card to help teach y'all some layering techniques, because we all struggle sometimes with our layers. And I will get this all put together and I'll show you exactly how I do that. But the next thing we want to do, we're going to do some die cutting. So I'm going to lay this to the side. We're going to lay this right here. And I'm going to put my scraps. Let's see, we're going to need the black and the red for our scraps. So I'm going to leave that right there. And I'm going to lay this piece down. And the first thing we're going to need is we're going to need a black scallop. And I want to kind of see what size I need, and then I'll tell you, because I'm making this card right along with you. And I think something like that. And this one right here is about a 3 3/4 inch scallop. So I'm just using my nestable scallops, and you can use whatever nestable scallops that you have. But what you also want to do is make sure that you can build a frame that is going to live inside of that. And I believe that one and this one, or maybe this one. Yeah, this is the size frame we're going to need to make. And we're going to cut this out of red. So what I'm going to do is get these taped down, and I'm going to tape them on my mat, getting them perfectly even. And then I'm just going to use a piece of sticky tape just to stick those mats together. Just like that. So now we'll get that frame that is running around here. Yeah, that looks about the same. I'm looking at my mat because I want this to be about an 1/8, and that looks about an 1/8, and I'm just checking it all the way around. This is kind of an overkill, but you know, I just want it to be right. So let's get our die cut machine up here, and we're going to cut out a couple of pieces. And the first thing I'm going to do is cut that piece, that black scallop. So the black scallop is going to be this piece right here. So I'm just going to load my plates in, and I am going to take this black piece that was left over from our mat, and I am going to lay this up to the top and over to the side, just like that. And I'm going to load my mat in, or my plate, and we're going to crank this through. Now I'm using that heavier cardstock, so I am going to crank it through one more time and back again. And lift up our plate, pull out our piece, and there's our scallop. That worked out beautiful. So now we're going to grab our red piece, and the red piece, we want that frame. So I'm going to lay this on here, and I am going to lay this up to the top, just like that. I'm going to use my tape to help that, even though I'm using a magnetic plate here. The tape's going to help hold the pieces together, as well as onto our cardstock. So this is going to be a little bit harder to cut out because we're cutting 2 pieces and we're doing a frame. But let's see how that did. And it did beautiful. And we also have that circle, but this is what I wanted, was the frame. So this is going to actually live right on this, so that just a tiny bit of that black is going to peek out. Now we're going to use the smaller circle to cut the musical paper that's going to live right inside of that frame. So we're going to pull this one off of our red. So always it'll be your smaller circle. And I am going to cut a piece of this musical paper. And this is from an older card stock that's called A Very Merry Christmas. And this piece right here has the Christmas tree song. So I'm going to cut a square off of this, and I'm just going to use my scissors. Or do I want to use my scissors? Yeah, we'll do the scissors for the sake of time. And I'm just going to cut one of these musical pieces out. Like that. And we got that little square, and I'm going to put that onto here, and I want to cut right about there so we can get those musical notes, as much of that as we can. So I'm going to put my plate over it, and we are going to run this through. Now, if you don't have musical paper and you have a musical stamp block where you can stamp your own out, you could use that and then just cut it. But be sure to let it dry before you run it through. If you do decide to use a stamp that has musical notes on it, I would definitely wait until that ink dries before I run it through. So now we have this little piece that's going to live right into the middle of this. So it's going to make this look framed. So we are going to glue that down to here, and then this over it, just like so. And I think that's going to be so pretty. Alright, let me get my little dies back over here where they need to go. And that one goes there. And that one there. And we have one more somewhere hanging out. Let's see, there's the scallop. I like to put my stuff back as I use it, because I will evidently misplace and have all kinds of problems with that. So I usually try to make sure I put them back where they come from. So let's move this die cut machine out of our way so that you can see what we're doing. And we're going to bring our card back over, and I am going to try my best to line these up. Now I'm going to glue these down, but I'm going to use art glitter glue because I want that wiggle room, because we do have a very small little edge that's going to show around these. So it's going to be a task getting these down, but it will be so worth it in the outcome, because this is going to be a beautiful layered card when we're finished. So pretty. And then this right here is going to live on here, right about there, with our music on it. And then our frame around it. Just like that. And once we get that centered in there perfectly, that will sit down and be glued down, and that'll be beautiful. There's my other die. Now we do have to cut some more pieces, but I had not decided yet how big I wanted them to be. We're going to do a red piece and also a black piece that's going to be a frame over to the side, and we're going to actually dress up this little piece right here. In fact, I think I'm going to slide it up just a little bit like this to let more of that scallop show. because this side down here is not going to be seen. And you'll see what I mean once we start dressing it, because we're going to put some holly around the bottom here. So I may just do that just like that, because I think that'd be beautiful, and it will show a little bit more of our scalloped edge right there, and I like that. So I'm going to lay my fussy cut scissors on that right now, and maybe even this just to hold it down, because I want to get some measurements. I want to measure how big a piece I want. So let's see. I think I want it to be about 1/2 inch from the top. So let's go this way, and I'm going to put that at 1/2 inch, about there. And I want it to come down to about, so we want that piece to be about 4.5 by, and I want it to come over about 2 inches this way. So about there to about here. So we want it to be about 3.5 by 4.5. So let's get our black piece cut first. 3.5 by 4.5. Let's see if we have 4.5. We do. And so we're going to just take this piece that we cut that out of, and we're going to measure it to 3.5. And then we're going to turn it this way and do it at 4.5. And I do think I'm going to have to change my blade. I have cut so much lately, and I'm finding that with the more stuff that I'm doing, the more often I'm having to change my blade out. So bear with me just for a moment. Now that's my old one. And this is my new one. So we're just going to pop that out. And I'm just going to bring it over and set it in that track, close it down on it, and put my little handle back on top. That's just how easy it is to change your blade on your Cricut trimmer. I was hoping I wouldn't have to change it quite so often, but I have been cutting, so if you use your trimmer a lot like I do, you may find that you have to change that blade out. But save this blade, because you can use this for magnetic strips, you can use it for your chipboard and things like that. So I am going to clean that track out one more time. Just like that. And I'm even going to use a wet wipe and make sure that I get in there and clean it out really good. Get any residue that might be down in there out. So I'm just going to take that wet wipe and I'm going to hold it down like that. And I'm going to run it back up like that. Just making sure that I'm cleaning it out, and you can see the gunk that came out of there. So it's real important to clean that track out, because it does get a lot of debris in there, and I think sometimes that will dull your blade. I don't know that for a fact, but that's my assumption. Okay, so now we've got a new blade. We should be good. Now I am going to take my little emery board, and I'm just going to do this. I don't want these frayed edges on this beautiful card that we're making, because this card is going to turn out to be gorgeous. So that helped quite a bit. I think we knocked some of that fraying back. Yeah, that helps quite a bit. Okay, and now we need to cut the red piece as well. And let's see, this was 3.5 by 4.5. So we'll do 4 3/4 by, let's see, we are going to do this at 4 1/4. And then we're going to cut this piece at 3 1/4. And that was a much better cut, as you can see. Alright, so we got these two pieces ready. And what we're going to do is we are going to glue this one on top of this one. And I'm just going to use some more glitter glue for this. I might just grab the other bottle of glue because even though I cleaned this one off, it still doesn't seem like it wants to work for me. So I'm going to get my 8-ounce bottle, and we're going to see if we can make this one work a little bit better. Okay, got glue all over my hands, par for the course. Now I am going to stick this down, giving me just that, see I put way too much glue on there, it came out way too fast. It's okay, let's just clean this up a little bit, and this up a little bit, and let's see if we can stick it down now. I'm going to use my Teflon bone folder, and I'm just going to press that down to make sure that glue oozed out all up underneath there. Still not liking the way that's going down, so we're going to do something a little different. We're going to put a little bit of ATG on it, and I'm going to reposition it just like that. Probably should have went with the ATG to start with, but anyway, there we go. We got that ready. And now this piece is going to live right up underneath the edge of this, just about like that. And I cut some little swirlies out of a die that I have. It's this one right here, and this was a Crafter's Companion, and I think I picked this up at Tuesday morning. And we are going to position this right about here. Let me pull this over so you can see what I'm doing. So like I said, this was a Crafter's Companion. And this one here was just another little die that came in a set with the bird cage. This was actually a Spellbinders, and I have some little birds, and that was that little piece right there. So I want these little swirlies to go, and I hope you can see where I'm going with this card. Once we get everything glued down, I like to build my cards like this and kind of get a general idea of what they're going to look like prior to actually putting them together. Now I do want to use this little holly. I have a little holly piece in here. I think I took it out because I put a full run on it. Let's see, here it is. So I'm going to cut some little pieces of holly leaves, and I'm going to do some out of different shades of green, dark green and light green. And we are going to I'm going to try to see if we can put the holly berries on them using some stickles or Nuvo drops, or maybe even some glitter pins. But let me go ahead and get some green paper, and I'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and what I did while I was off camera is because I know it's so tedious to watch me die cut a bunch of these small pieces, so what I did is I went ahead and die cut several and embossed these little holly leaves, and they, like I told you, they were cut from this piece right here. And it does have the 3 little dots on them to put the holly berries, but I'm thinking that I'm going to see if I can find some gemstones, and we will do those with either some gemstones. But I'm using my smallest little brush, and I just wanted to see if I could emboss these, not emboss them, distress them a little bit with some ink, just to help the color, just, you know, show a little bit more of our color, Christmas color. So I'm using this Pine Rainforest, and I am just going to dab some ink around, and then I'm just going to kind of scrub it in. And this little tiny brush makes this so much easier to do. So I'm just going to put that on there like that, and I'm going to do a little bit on this one, just a little bit on the ends of the leaves, just to give it a little character, and just make it look more like holly leaves, because I always think of holly leaves being kind of dark, and then those beautiful red berries show up so good on against the dark green. So again, I am going to try to hold this with this. I think that will help me work that color around a little bit better, and maybe come out without having red fingers. But hey, if I have red fingers, so be it. I'm going to try it on this side of this one, just to see how it looks on this textured paper. And I think I like that. Oh, that's kind of pretty. I just want them to look a little different. You know, each one of them. This one I'm just going to do it around the edges. I thought I would save y'all from the boredom of watching me cut all of these, because having that big shot up here in the camera, doing the same thing over and over, is pretty repetitious. And any of y'all that has a die cut machine, you already know what to do and how it works. So at that point, I didn't feel like I needed to go over that again. So my puppies are actually playing with their toys right behind me again. They're always under my feet when I'm crafting. Actually, I think I like this side on this one better. So I'm going to just go around the edges, because I love that green color on this one. So I'm just going to dab off right here, kind of blending that out. And I think that's pretty, just like that. And maybe a little bit on this one. Let's just hit this one around the edges a little bit. What I'm doing is picking up a little bit more of that ink off of my mat, because I think we have plenty on here. And there we go. Now I think we've gotten those ready. Now we need to decide what we're going to do with to make our red dots. But I think what I'm going to do, oh, I forgot one. Let's see if I got enough of this ink left on here, just to distress this one just a tiny bit. Nope, I think I'm going to have to go back in that ink just a tiny bit. Yeah, that's the look that I wanted. And then I'm just blending it out so it doesn't look like it's just all setting. That's beautiful. Alrighty. I'm going to get my little wet wipe, and I'm going to clean this up, pushing these out of my way. Don't want to get our pretty white card in that green ink for sure. And I also have some glue on here. And let's see, I'm going to get one more clean wipe. And I am going to clean my brush. These brushes clean up so good, and they don't leave any residue, see? Nothing. So I find these to work so great for my distress inking. So I think what I want to do now is I want to bring this card back over. Make sure that my surface is dry, and it's not, so I'm going to use a paper towel and just dry this off, because I do not want to set that card down in anything dirty. And I think I'm going to go ahead and start putting my layers together on this. So I'm going to move my little swirlies off, just like that. Try to decide which way I want this one to come out of. Maybe right there. Yeah, I think that's what I had decided to do. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get this frame on here so that we are showing some of those beautiful scalloped edges on that side. It's not going to matter down here because we're going to have those holly branches or holly leaves on that side. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over, and holding this down, I am going to come down with my glue, and I'm going to put just a tiny bit. I think I am. And you know what I did? I left my pen out, so that's not a good thing. So I probably got, oop, there it comes. Okay, we do have glue flowing. That's a good thing. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to just bring this up, and I'm going to put glue around it. I think this will be the easiest way, and this glue is coming out so fast. The other one wouldn't come out at all, and this one's coming out way too fast. Probably because I filled this bottle up. Okay. So what I'm going to do here where I feel like it's got too much, I'm just going to kind of smear it with my finger. And then I'm going to bring this around. And again, I want this to show the scallops around the top and that side. So I'm going to sit that down just like that. Just like so. Now the next thing I want to do is I want my music to fit right inside of there, which it will. So let's go ahead and put some glue. I'll tell you what, we're just going to squish a little bit of glue across here like that. And then we're going to set this in. This is going to be our top, bottom, and side. So I'll make sure that my music is going the right direction. And I'm just going to glue that in. Now that is good to go. We do need to get our little holly branches on here, but I also want to use a punch that I have, and y'all see me use this quite a bit, but I love this little Tim Holtz Sizzix branch punch, and I'm going to punch some of the dark green out of this because I need a little bit of something extra. And what I like about this piece of paper here is the fact that we can do it on either side, and we can have light and dark. So that is a good thing. So that is showing all the dark, but that's okay. We're going to turn them around. I'm going to do about 6 of these. And I'm going to do some that are just the top edge of it. And another one. And let's see. Now I did, if you can see, I did get a little bit, but see, we can turn these over, and we've got light green, we've got dark green, and these are just so pretty. So we're going to put quite a few of these in with those holly leaves, and I think this is going to really give us a good feel for it being a wreath. And I love that look. Just like that. And I'll be right back.